To see everyone here. It's a great group already. And I'm sure there's going to be a few more coming in. So welcome to our Lost Skills. We have some new people here. Great. Was it a Mary somebody called me? Yay! I'm glad you were able to make it with a friend. Okay. Hi, Kathy. And my name is Martha Renfro, and I am the director, I guess, of the Lost Skills program. This is our third season of Lost Skills, and the Lord has really blessed us in it. We've had a lot of people coming from the community and elsewhere, and the whole purpose of Lost Skills is it kind of came out after COVID and, you know, when all the things were happening and people's security was not good, you know. And so I was praying that the Lord would show us what we can do to help people feel more secure and to learn things that they needed. And so this is what came out. And we've had all kinds of things from pantry management, bread making, gardening of different kinds, and some herbs before, car maintenance 101, just a whole bunch of different things that we've done. So we're very happy to have you here. And I think on your, on the paper they gave you that tells what's happening today and April. Unfortunately, I did not get the April ad done early enough to have it for you today. But on your paper that tells about March also has, on the right-hand side, has April. And also on there at the bottom, I believe, it tells how you can access some of the programs we've done before, because we do record most of them, and then not only record it, it goes out live stream for some people to be able to see who couldn't be here. So what that does, you can go back and it tells how to access all those programs that we've done before. I am extremely happy to introduce tonight's guests, and it's Leslie and Rebecca Hudon from Hudon Herbs up on 140 north of Niles. And Leslie and I met, well, I think Rebecca was there too, but Leslie and I really talked at a little fair type thing in Berrien Springs, and then we have just connected so well. They're a really neat Christian family, and the whole family is involved in this, in their herb farm. And they are so well versed in the herbs and things like that. I asked them to show us or talk to us about how to grow our own herbs and maybe preserve them and how to use them, both culinary and some medicinal. So we're just excited to have them here. And before they come up, I'm going to have a word of prayer. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you so much for bringing us all together to learn things about your creation and what you want to help us with herbs. I just pray that you will be with Leslie and Rebecca as they present today and help us to have open minds and open hearts to be able to learn the things that you have for us to learn. All for your honor and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay.
Hello. Oh, thank you. I'm Rebecca, and this is my mom, Leslie. We are representing the Hudon family, and we are representing 2 out of the 7 family members. So the rest of the family is either running the farm or they are enjoying a day of rest. So we started our farm actually back in 2019. Me and two of my sisters were the three oldest girls of the family. We purchased a farm. We were just new homeowners. We were all single, finished college, just moving out on our own. And we had been planning on doing something like a U-pick of some sort. We were kind of on the fence whether we wanted to do fruit. I think we considered a lavender farm at one point, am I right? Because I keep on getting different things from our sisters. We're like, no, we started like this. So what really kicked everything off was actually the pandemic back in 2020. We were thinking, you know what, we're not going to do this for another 10 years. We're just going to start out our lives as homeowners, get our lives figured out, and then from there in the future, we'll go on ahead and start this farm someday in the future. But basically, when the pandemic happened, we just started really noticing how a lot of people were really looking for alternatives, natural alternatives to medicine, or people were getting into homesteading and they wanted to do, what's the word for it? They wanted to grow their own fruit. Yep, self-sustainable, that's the word I was looking for. So we were thinking to ourselves, you know, let's just go on and get started on this. So we actually started out doing markets back in end of 2022. We were doing beds in 2021, really starting off on our property. We have a 12-acre property, so right now we're only utilizing 3 or was it 4 of the acres that we're at right now? We've been doing a lot of expanding. Right now we're at 2 acres of herbs that we have planted. We're hoping to extend that even more this year. So 2022 we started doing markets, and then the very next summer, 2023, we started doing our U-pick. It was fast. Went by very quickly for us. And I'll let my mom share a little bit on the backstory of what got us really into the medicinal herbs.
Yeah. And it was like Martha was saying, the pandemic really solidified it for us. We were like, you know, should we do herbs? I like growing herbs. I love gardening. The children didn't at all. So they just had a major, quick learning. Especially my middle daughter, who does all the growing. Everybody in the family has a different job based on their interest, which kind of worked out well. Rebecca loves to do oils and fragrances, so that's her thing. And I have another daughter that does all the balms and salves and clean cosmetics, meaning no parabens or fragrances, fake anything, nothing. And then I like to do the tinctures, the glycerins, the teas, the things with the herbs. But backtrack a little bit. So everything for us started when my husband had a heart attack. And he was on your typical meds that you would take, you know, after you've had a heart attack and you have a stent. But he was different on the medicines. It was different. He was not himself. And he said his arms always felt like lead. And so it was concerning to me, but it was concerning to me just that he had a heart attack because I'm the cook. So I took it really hard when he had that heart attack, and I thought, oh my goodness, being a Christian, Lord, I need to do something, obviously, because my husband is sick. So, you know, following what the American Heart Association was saying, I thought, that's what we do, you know? I mean, if I continue to do what they're doing, it's not gonna be any different because that's pretty much how we were eating anyway. So, you know, troubled about what to do. I had a friend and I said, I don't know what to do. I'm looking on the website and I'm asking doctors and they point me here and there, and I said, I just don't feel like that's going to make much of a difference for him, you know. We need something more drastic, I guess, you know. And so I was sharing that with a friend, and she says, you know, I know of a doctor who has a book that's called Reverse and Prevent Heart Disease, Dr. Cardwell Esterson. And I thought, okay. So I looked at the book and I thought, this is it. So we changed the way we ate. We went plant-based. Immediately, my husband, you know, the blood pressure was great. I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not saying to do this at all. This was just what we did. He slowly came off of the meds. And I'm saying slowly, so this is like 2 years. slowly coming off of them to the point where he's not on any right now. And instead, we grow herbs, and he takes herbal extracts instead in place of carefully, But so that was why we started the herb, was because, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So that was our the beginnings. And I don't know how, how as a Christian, the Lord, I don't know, leads you slowly. Like I'm trying to think, how did we get here from, how did that happen? But it happened so slowly that I didn't, to even tell our story, I'm like, who told you herbs? Who told, the Lord. So, so that kind of was our start. That's why we went the herb. But we do more than that. We do not just herbs, but we consider anything that helps you with your health, because our business motto is health and well-being, to encourage people to use herbs, use plants for health and well-being, which you guys already know about. So that's what got us in that direction. The property that the girls bought in 2019 was a cornfield, and it was a mess. There was no life. I was just sharing that you could dig forever and never see a worm. But we wanted, we want to grow medicine, right? So you can't use, herbicides, pesticides, whatever. So, what we kind of thought, what are you going to do? And then, like Becca was saying, the pandemic and all of that. And I had been familiar with Back to Eden gardening. And so I thought, that's what we're going to do. But that's a lot of acreage. and we had no tractors, no riding. We had push mowers, and we had shovels and rakes. Mm-hmm. And so the first bed was wheelbarrows and with wood chips. And we probably have about, I would say, maybe 8 or 9 acres that we were going to work with the growing. And we started off with one bed that was 8 feet by 28 feet. And it took us all day with the wheelbarrow. Cardboard down first, right over all of the growth or weeds and leftover corn, just cardboard, and then wood chips, probably between 18 and 2 feet of wood chips went down. And that was one bed, and it took us all day. And I told the kids, do not look back. Just look at what we did. Just look at what we did. Don't look back at all. Because, because they were like, can we do this, Mom? And look at it now. I mean, I'm just like, how the Lord, I don't know, gave us that, keep going, keep going, keep going. Well, the pandemic did that. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So, because people are going to need these things. People are going to need these plants. So that was kind of the beginning. So, and the growing of the herbs. Yep. The girls' property is our plants. The herbs are kind of a downhill, and boy, does that wind blow. I mean, I'm fighting a cold because I go from the heat to that wind blown. Just the whole property is just like, so to actually build a greenhouse with plastic, I don't think so. No. So the girls have converted their basement into a grow room. So we have a lot of lights, a lot of tables, and we grow everything organically. We buy organic seeds. We source them from very reputable, I guess you would call them herbalists, and scientists, botanists. He's all of that in one, and or heirloom seeds. We start with obviously. Sorry. We start with good seeds, and we grow them in a seed starting mix, and then up them to organic soil. They stay in the base. We start in February. Herbs take a long time. Some take a lot longer than others. We start in the basement, take them out after Mother's Day, and in the wood chips. So, every year we do a few more rows of this wood chips. So like last year, we laid down some wood chips, and it sat all winter. So there's some decomposing, some compacting happening. So growing in that is not very difficult. Growing on very new wood chips is a little bit more challenging as far as nitrogen. We push the wood chips open, and we pour in mushroom compost, and we grow into the mushroom compost. If we put enough mushroom compost, it's enough throughout the season for the roots to go beyond that and into the soil. The cardboard breaks down. Our soil, especially in the area from the first year, is just beautiful and black, full of life. Mycelium, worms, every kind of mushroom you can imagine grows there, which is life. So we want to see that, even though some of them look pretty icky. I don't know if you've ever seen a mushroom that looks like almost like vomit, like somebody went. That's, even though it looks icky, it's life. It's showing that everything's breaking down, and it's showing life in the soil. So our herbs usually do really well. If we plant properly, if we plant early before the heat, most things don't even need watering. The natural watering from the rain is sufficient. If we start later, then obviously we're watering before things can get settled. Let's see, what else can I say? Yeah, so our wood chips were coming from American Tree
Service in
yeah,
Niles.
in Niles.
Yeah.
They always gave us a great deal. It was free in the beginning, and then after COVID, everyone was gardening. Then they started charging, but it was minimal, and we weren't complaining about that. But now we get free wood chips from, I wouldn't even know where it's coming, the electric company.
Botanicals?
Pardon me?
South Bend Botanicals? Speaking of-
No, I think it's the power company.
Yeah. I just got two big
Yeah,
piles of wood chips from them.
yeah.
And
So,
just, if you see somebody, I'm sorry, I should be.
Yep.
If you see somebody out doing trees, they've been doing it in our area, next to all the roads and stuff like that. And if you see somebody doing trees like that, stop and ask them. And I've gotten two, and they offered me more, so I'll be getting more.
Yeah, so we, at the girls' place, actually, even at my home, because I used to do that when the neighbors were getting their trees trimmed or
Just chase
cut,
them
I
down.
would go over, no shame, go over and beg for wood chips. And they would gladly give it, and they just have to go across the street, dump it in our yard. And I love, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, it's called food forest. Building a food forest where you have trees and shrubs and herbs all growing together. And anyway, that's so fun. So we also have that at the farm, just to show people how easy it can be to garden. It doesn't have to be straight lines. You can just kind of have a whole family together of plants.
Yeah.
So.
And we don't typically sell our produce, but whatever we have in excess, we'll just sell it on the farm in our shop, and people are more than happy
Give
to
it away.
have it. Yeah, or give it away. My younger sister loves to grow watermelons, and she loves to experiment with different ones, and she always has way too many. By the end of the fall, we're sick of them.
Yeah, and so you can see here the wood chips being unloaded.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and we already working on more beds. So yeah. So we have about, I want to say, 95 beds right now. And then that's the beds, and then we have annuals growing around, so the basils, all the different basils. We build on what customers want. So someone will say, arnica, do you have arnica? Nope. We'll grow some arnica. So we're growing arnica, but people use it for their skin. Bruising, when people have surgeries, it helps. Scars, prevent scars, and just quick healing. Some people said it's even good with poison ivy. I don't know that yet, but we'll find out. So we grow it, and then we make products. And that's pretty much what we do. We grow, and whatever we can make a product of, we do. Yeah. What else would you like to share?
I guess we can get into like why, what we grow specifically and what we use it for. Yeah. So we do have a lot of our basic culinary herbs, or the ones that you would expect to find in an herb garden, like the basils that she just mentioned, rosemary, oregano, tarragon, different types of mint, thyme. And basically, once you do a little bit of research, you obviously find that majority of those, well, actually all of them, have so many benefits that you had no idea about. Like just the idea of like an after dinner mint. And the reason why after dinner mints are a thing is because peppermint is good for digestion. Which we didn't know about that until we actually did a deep dive on peppermint, and we were like, oh my goodness, that makes sense. Oregano, a lot of people are familiar with oregano oil that they've been using, that's very popular right now. About to say rosemary, it's great for the hair, it's great for memory. About to say, so you have some basic herbs like that. Then we have some ones that are a little bit more not as familiar for some people. Like, I mean, arnica is becoming really popular from what I've noticed. We have a lot of people who've been asking for that, and thankfully we're doing that now. We've got a few over here. I might just go over here and kind of just share some of the items that we have. So our best seller out of everything that we sell is our comfrey salve. And comfrey, it's basically it would be considered like a weed, would you say, right?
Yeah, once you have it, you probably always have it.
And our deer love it, so it's hard for us to come by sometimes. But this guy is amazing. It's when you look online, it's a little bit of a controversial one, because there's a lot of controversy as to whether or not you can consume it versus apply it topically. We typically only sell it dried or for topical purposes. We have some people who make it into tincture, and they're perfectly fine with it. There's just some,
we err on caution.
Yes, about to say. This is one that we've seen different bits of research on consuming it. But this one is amazing for topical purposes. It's good. We've had people take it for arthritis. We had one gentleman who wasn't even a customer of ours who saw us at a market and mentioned, you need to mention to them this is amazing for scarring as well. He was using it for a really bad burn he had on his arm, and he showed us a picture before versus after of using comfrey himself.
People after back surgery.
We
had a football player, a high school football player, dislocated his shoulder, and the doctor says, you're out for the season. His grandmother thought, I'm going to buy some of that comfrey. I'm sure that comfrey will work, and a month later he was playing. Wow. So we just had a gal come just yesterday saying that her hands, she has arthritis in her hands. I mean, people say they have arthritis. Do I really know if they have arthritis or not? I don't know. I'm just going by what they say. But I mean, it could just be nerve damage. It could be, but she says it works so well, and she said it worked pretty quickly too. So my sister had back surgery, so she uses it for her back, and she recently fell, and so she put it everywhere. And it would help with the bruising and just the healing. It helps the healing process be a little bit quicker. As far as the research and stuff, I think some of the research is not, not really legit, but we're not scientists. So we don't actually even consider ourselves herbalists. We're herb growers, but we have to kind of study herbs before we know what to grow. And we don't grow, it's probably not even nice to say dangerous herbs, but foxglove, digitalis, is kind of a scary herb for heart. I wouldn't recommend it, even though some herbalists might. I wouldn't. So we don't even have it on the property. So then it's never an issue. Also, I should mention we don't work with marijuana.
Just had to say that. We are from Niles, so had to put that out there. Even though we have had a lot of people ask. But yeah, we have some other items here, like yarrow. That's one that we use
healing herb?
for healing. So you can use it for wounds. We've had some people who take it or apply it for bug bites. We also have that in tincture form as well. And
glycerin.
And glycerin, yep. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with tinctures at all. Yeah. So a tincture is, like she described, an herbal extract. So the same idea as like vanilla extract. It's the same process. So we take the herbs, preferably fresh, and we have it sit in 80 proof vodka for 6 weeks. And the alcohol pulls all the benefits from the herb. So we sell it in like these little 2-ounce bottles. These guys are good technically on the shelf for 10 years. Sometimes they may start to, what's the word for it? Evaporate.
Yep.
They may start evaporating, but this is good on the shelf for multiple years. So
and the real reason behind the alcohol is just the safety factor, because bacteria can't grow in there. So we like the glycerins as well, but their shelf life is shorter.
Yes.
So, you know.
Yeah. And we want to have that option for people who are avoiding alcohol, or if they have young children, or people who have had a history of alcoholism and they just really don't want that in their home.
Right.
We absolutely want to give people that option for them to use that themselves. Another way, I don't know.
And teas, making teas out of them.
And we did not bring the oxymelts, did we?
No.
We didn't. So another thing that we do with a lot of our herbs, we mainly do this with culinary herbs just because they taste great, is an oxymel. So an oxymel is half, is it 1/3 or is it half?
It's a third.
It's
a third.
Thank you. It's a third of the herb. We do a third honey.
Raw local honey.
And then a third raw apple cider vinegar. And you let that sit for 6 weeks just like you would a tincture. And basically you can use that as a pre-digestive. Basically you can just take it by the spoonful. You can apply it as a salad dressing, which is our favorite way to have it. Or you can put it in seltzer water, depending on the flavor you have. Like we will do that with lavender. We'll do that with basil, oregano, and what's the other one we do? Ginger.
Ginger is the most popular one.
Ginger is probably the best one out of all of them if you're looking for something for digestion. But yeah, those are the 3 typical ways as far as consuming them that we will do. That besides the teas. So we just want to offer a nice variety of teas as well. We try to offer a variety when it comes to health ailments in particular. Let me see here. So our popular one is probably Love Your Heart. This one is for people with higher blood pressure. It has motherwort, hawthorn, and hibiscus. Had to think for a second. But yeah, so the motherwort is an herb that we do have in tincture form as well. And this guy is just great for lowering blood pressure. This has probably been, this is kind of our, what's the word for it? Our gateway drug into getting people into trying the tinctures and the glycerins. We've gotten many people who are skeptics who have tried this, and then they move on to this.
Did you say the ingredients of Love Your Heart again?
Yeah.
Hawthorn, hibiscus, and
Motherwort.
Motherwort.
Which just means mother plant. Motherwort is a very safe herb. It's one that you can actually take every day of your life. It's from the 17th century. I think they have records of it. It's been used for a long time. A lot of people will use it for heart palpitations, or anxiety attack. What's the other? Panic attacks. So it works well with panic attacks and can that get the heart going. But it really works really well with its botanical name, Latin name is Leonoris cardiaca. So actually in the name is cardiac. So.
The only people who shouldn't take it is if you're pregnant.
Well, if you're pregnant, you don't take any of them.
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
take any tinctures.
Exactly. So, and let's see, what's another one? Well, I guess I should mention the little handout we gave you guys. So we do have a little list that Martha lovingly provided for us, just in herbs on repelling bugs. I have a little bug spray that has majority of those ingredients. I think I have a couple ingredients in this guy that aren't on the list, but those guys are great. Let's think. Where's another herb you can think of that would be amazing for us to mention?
Well, another popular one is our aronia and elderberry. Both are immune boosting. If you stick with it, a lot of people will do the aronia every day. you do the aronia every day, you can usually fight off everything. I almost did it.
What's it?
Almost did it this winter. Aronia berry. It's one that you've not heard of, but as far as antioxidants, it's much better, higher than
Do you know how to spell it?
aronia, Aronia. If you can Google that one and it'll be all over, but
It's also known as chokeberry.
Right. It's astringent, so maybe that's why it's not very popular. It looks like a blueberry. It's the size of a blueberry, but it's much higher in antioxidants and it has anti-cancer properties in it. You could.
But it'd be very sour.
Yeah, it's one of those that have to be picked right at the right time, and it's hard to know when that right time is. But this morning I was making some glycerins because they're very popular right now. People are constantly buying the aronia glycerin, and I dropped a berry as I was extracting them. Separating them from the berry and taking out the glycerin. I dropped the berry and I thought, I'm just gonna try it. So I ate it. I'm like, that's not bad. So I went over to my husband and I said, I found something that you can put in your oatmeal. So you don't put maple syrup because he likes to sweeten it. I said, you can put some glycerin. The aronia has been sitting in the glycerin. It's sweet, but it's not sugar. And then this morning he's like, that was a winner. So, yeah. But they are astringent, so that's probably why they're not very popular, but they're highly, highly wonderful medicinal properties in it.
And I would say another one of our herbs that just popped in my head is burdock. That's probably another one of our big sellers when it comes to the tinctures in particular. We have a lot of people who have come in who have either digestive issues, inflammation. You've mentioned there was a lady who said that has
Sluggishness. The whole system is sluggish.
Chronic fatigue. It's basically seen as like a liver detox. At least
And
that's
kidney.
And kidney, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's a food. I don't know. Have you guys heard of burdock? It's a weed. It's a nasty weed.
Yeah.
But in Japan, they love it. And I grew up in Hawaii, and I grew up eating it and not realizing. And so if you put all that nice seasoning, it's absolutely delicious. But as just the,
You said 3 things the burdock was good for: the digestive, the fatigue, and what was the third?
it's a detoxer, so a
Yeah.
kidney and liver detox.
There was one more thing she mentioned.
It also helps you eliminate, so it keeps your body. Yeah, it is just wonderful.
Yeah.
So it will-
inflammation, that was what I mentioned, yeah. I was rocking my brain too.
Yeah, that's it's totally safe because it is a food. It is a food. In Japan, they eat it a lot, and then if you read up on it, you realize that what happened in Japan.
It's known as a blood purifier too.
Yeah, with the atomic bomb. So it's said to have the ability to cleanse the body of radiation. So it kind of makes sense why they eat it. Sometimes. So that is and that one is a root that you either harvest in the spring, like right now, or you harvest in the fall, and you harvest the first year plant, not the second, not when they flower.
Yeah.
So there's so much to learn about herbs, but it's all possible. It's all possible to learn, and you don't need to learn all of them. Just pick 10 herbs and get acquainted with 10 herbs. I was just sharing how I had a terrible cold. We have sick people coming through the shop all winter long, and I was just like, I'm not getting sick. So that's what happens when you toot your own horn. Then my daughter got sick, and she said, Mom, feel me. Do I feel? And she kept wanting me to feel her, and I never washed my hands. So who got sick? Me. But I was sharing that, it was a wonderful time for me to try all the tinctures and the glycerins and the teas that I tell people about, because I never get sick. So, I just have to go by what my kids said or what I read, what I studied. But this time I got to. And so Elecampane was one that worked for me. And guess what? The best herb for a cough is thyme. Thyme, just wild thyme. I couldn't believe it. Everything else, and then we still keep up with our elderberry or aronia, just to kind of build that immune system back up. But another very important herb is echinacea. And you probably all heard about that one. And that one is the leaves, the flower, and the root. You put them all together. The leaves add a nicer flavor. The root is bitter. You know, the more bitter, the better the root is. I mean, the herb is. So that's kind of if you can, you know, remember that as you're choking something down or drinking the tea, the more better it is if it's bitter. So.
Yeah, about to say she got spooked the first time she tried doing the root because we were first doing the flowers and the stems and the leaves, but then we were told you need to do the root. So you had our aunt try it, and it was it made her mouth go numb
and tingly, and I thought, oh no, I've killed her. So I had some too. Like, if you're going down, I'm going with you. So, but it was yeah. I mean, that was when we were first learning. You know, you have to. You know, as when you're making things, you have to actually try it to learn about it, learn how, you know, how it makes you feel, and things like that. But echinacea is wonderful. I use it on my dog. She has a tumor, a non-cancerous tumor, and just to keep infection away, I just give it to her. Our dog had tapeworms because he's a beagle and he loves to play with creatures, and so he got tapeworms, and I gave him wormwood, you know, and took care of it, you know. So it's kind of fun to kind of experiment on.
You grow wormwood? You make an extract too?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. Wormwood's incredibly bitter. It's very hard to take as a tea. Incredibly hard to take as a tea. But you know, if you're not well.
But it is very effective.
Yes, yeah, and wormwood is good for parasites. We have children even that have pinworms. I guess they go in school. They're kind of common that kids would, share it with each other, and so we use a little bit, a drop or two, very little, especially for a child, very little.
So you said not tea, but you said a drop. So you just feed a tincture on how do you feed wormwood to somebody?
Mostly tinctures or glycerin.
Okay.
And this child had a really bad case, so her whole family took it because she shared it with even her family.
Like a spoon and you swallow it?
Just one drop from a dropper, one drop.
Yeah, typically with a tincture, we would say a dropper full, but that would be a situation where it's just a drop. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a question about how these things are used, just like you just now talked about tinctures.
Yep.
And just taking a few drops of them or a drop or whatever. Do you put that in water? Do you just take it straight or?
Typically, we take it straight. A lot of people will put it in like a drink. That's absolutely fine. You can absolutely do that. I personally just say the best way is just
Get it over with.
Good.
And the bags over there, do you make a tea out of those?
Yes, so those are teas right there. So, yep. Yep.
When somebody asks a question, could you just repeat it?
Oh, okay, yes. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no picture of our drying racks and how we dry our herbs. My husband, our shop / barn / drying room is all in one, and so we had to do a multi-purpose room. So he put the drying racks on scaffolding, so our drying racks are really, really big, and so we can move them around. So if we have a class, we can move them out and have a class in the barn, in the workshop area. So it's super cool to be able to move your drying rack. So we dry them there, and we also have dehydrators for some of the herbs like your basil, parsley. Some of them have a lot of water in them, so they usually will turn yellow or brown. So if you can dry them quicker, it usually is beneficial. And there's a lot to learn, but even if it's brown, okay. This doesn't look good, but it's still okay, So yeah, so that's that. And just making in our lotions and balms that maybe you would purchase from the store have parabens and just chemicals in them. So our daughter infuses her own oils, and infusing is just putting plant in oil and letting them sit for the same. Everything is 6 weeks minimum, and then she takes the lavender or the calendula. Calendula is a very healing herb, just good for lotions and creams, and yeah. So she infuses them, and then we use them, and she uses you can use all kinds of oils, but she chooses to use grapeseed oil because it doesn't have a smell and it doesn't have a color and it's light. And they say that grapeseed oil is similar to the oil that your body would produce. So she uses that. And by doing that, you get away from all the chemicals, you know. But they're so easy to make, you know. I mean, you all could make your own with 3 ingredients, you know, an infused oil, and the beeswax, and the herb itself. You can make your own oil. It's 3 ingredients. Pretty simple. Balms and oils. So yeah. And then we make things as our customers ask for them. So we had a customer who had nerve pain on her hands, and so I said, our skullcap is an herb, is a nervine, so it works really well with nerve pain, whether it's sciatica down your leg. I mean, you can have nerve pain obviously anywhere, but she had it in her hand.
And it's also good for relaxing the body. If you ingest it, it's good for sleep. So it's just awesome.
Yeah. So she was using the glycerin. This is before we had a balm, and she did not want to take a tincture. So, and that, which is perfectly fine. That's why we make the glycerin. So she was putting the glycerin on her hand, but it was like kind of sticky. So I thought, ooh. She said, I don't care. It works. So my daughter made her a salve. So it's a lot more, you know, it feels a lot nicer. And so we kind of just make things as our customers ask for things and request different things. And so it's not like all these ideas are ours.
Right.
It's really the customers.
Right.
Do you ever use wild lettuce?
No,
Available?
no. That is one. Yeah, we have, you know, what's that weed? Milkweed.
Okay.
We have teasel. We don't have milkweed. We do have milkweed growing, not where we want it to grow, but we have teasel, and there's a lot of prickly. So I have not gotten to the wild lettuce because it would be another prickly. And then, of course, I don't know if you all know about that horseweed. That weed that just grows I don't know why God created it, but because maybe to keep us humble, I don't know, or on our knees all the time. But so, you know, I've kind of stayed away from because I think they have a little, and it's just one more. And, you know, we try to keep our beds completely clear, so it's a you pick. So you can come and pick your own herbs. So the last thing I want is for a customer to go in there and get pricked by something. So we're kind of, you know, and a lot of herbs do a lot of different things, you know. An herb can be a digestive aid, can be an immune booster, can be a, you know, anti-inflammatory, can help with bronchitis or whatever, you know. They're multi-purpose, you know. So we just try to cover everything, you know. Like wormwood is great for malaria. Sweet Annie, a lot of people have malaria. Teasel is great for Lyme's disease, you know. And that's a prickly thing, but it's got a beautiful flower as long as you don't let it go to seed. But yeah.
Speaking of prickly things, we also grow a lot of nettles. Especially now that we're getting into spring, we're gonna have to start harvesting here soon like crazy. But it's awesome. Like we always like to mention to people, especially Christians, or even if they're not Christians, we like to mention how God provides for us and how there's so many benefits to nettles, and they are full of, like, list them. I can't think of them at the top of my head.
Yeah, you know, especially vitamin K, vitamin C, and it's got potassium and magnesium.
It's
and
God's
manganese
multivitamin.
And, just everything. It has everything. So we call it the multivitamin. So you can, we sell it in the tea. You can come and pick your own. A lot of people will, believe it or not, they pick their own because they love to make teas with it. My daughter makes a soup in the spring with it, and I like it that way.
When you boil it, it takes away
The stinger. And even when you dry it, drying it will take away. I mean, you sometimes, if you pick it in the springtime, it's not as prickly as it is throughout the summer. And it's great. The chlorophyll in the nettles in the springtime, it's like dark green. It's like, whoa, this is so cool. But later during the summer, you lose that, But it's not that. It's not, it's still harvestable and it's still worthy of picking. It's just in the spring, it's the peak. So yeah, that one's a good one.
Yeah.
And that, which is great for allergies. We have marshmallow and nettles, and people who have had lifelong allergies take the nettle, and they don't have allergy issues. So
Yeah, that's another thing that people come in for often is UTIs.
urinary tract
nettles,
infections.
yeah. About to say with nettles and marshmallow, we've had, I think there was one lady who was on antibiotics for how much?
She was on
How
3
long?
different antibiotics, and it wasn't working. So yeah.
Within, I want to say a couple weeks.
4
she was
days.
off of them.
Yeah, she was on it, and she was struggling with it for 3 months. And she said, I have to wait another month before I can see the doctor. And she said, I can't take it anymore. So this was a friend of my sister. My sister said, can you tell me what to give her? And I said, well, I gave you this, that, and the other. So give her the marshmallow and the nettles, and it was gone in 4 days.
4 days.
4 days. But that's really common. Sometimes it's 3 days.
Wow.
And these are people who are on antibiotics, so it's not, and they're not working. But simple nettle.
With the marshmallow, do you ever use the
For cats.
leaves with the marshmallow plant, or do you just the root?
All of it. So yes, all of it. You can use the leaves and the flowers. That would be great. But the root, I kind of think sometimes when you can use the whole plant, I use the whole plant, because then I think you cover everything, Because sometimes, if you're making a tea, a marshmallow tea, which is great for respiratory, marshmallow and mullein and mint. It's very popular right now for people who have colds and stuff, and just respiratory, just breathing. The 3 work well together, and it would taste better if you use the leaves and the flowers versus the root. I still put the root in because I think people want something to knock it out, and so that's what I do. But you can, and you can grow them all, you guys. These are like super easy herbs to grow. If you have a little plot of land or a raised bed, just put a few herbs in there. Yeah.
You had a question in the back?
Yeah, I have a cat right now going through she's probably blocked with her bladder, partially blocked. There could be a UTI as well.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they work with animals?
Mm-hmm. Well, cats are a little bit more tricky than dogs. You can give a tincture to a dog, but the cats they're much smarter. They're like, no. So then you would just put you would put it in their food. So you put the dried nettle in the food, and they usually will. If you mix it up well enough, they usually will do okay that way.
I know she likes grass. She'll try to eat plants in the house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I buy grass for her plant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it helps with digestion.
Yeah.
But for nettles,
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple different tinctures or methods of delivery. Could you summarize the perk of each different method? Dried, tincture, muddle, glycerin, whatever they all are.
So you mean the process, or just the different ways of using them?
Yeah, the virtue of using one over the other. So why would I
Yeah.
want method A? Why would I
Okay.
want method B?
Yeah. Well, most herbalists will say that the fresh, and I would consider that the dried teas and the dried herbs. If you can take it that way, you're actually consuming the plant.
Fresh, dried, or tea you consider to be the
Yeah, and I do the tinctures and the glycerins old folk method. And that is, I guess that's how they used to do it. So I'm like, if they used to do it and it worked, why would we change anything? So, and I think just like, the fresher, the better, right? I mean, when you go to the produce department, right? So I like to make it fresh, and I just pack my jars. And there's not the weighing and the measuring when you do it that way.
Okay.
You fill it to the top.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, I mean, you there should be, some give there. You fill the jar to the top, and then you cover it completely, right to the rim,
Sure.
with your
Salt.
glycerin, yeah,
Mhm.
and then you just seal it and you let it sit. So some herbalists say in the dark, some say in the light.
And you shake it
Yeah,
every
if
day?
you can turn it,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
turn
So
it,
most
just to
people use-
just to move it around and stuff. So yeah, that, and then the glycerin is the same way as the tincture. Same process. Using, we choose to use, we don't use organic alcohol, and the glycerin really is organic because of what it's made out of. It's not usually treated with anything, so it's safe. But it's not affordable. It's not affordable for people, and we do classes. We want to, you come and pick your own herb. If you come and you want to make a tincture yourself, you want to make a glycerin, you ask any of us, we'll tell you. You can make your own. Now you can make a tincture or a glycerin for a fraction. If you make it yourself, it's a much better deal. You can
Yeah.
make a year's worth over what we charge for 1
Wow.
month. So the idea is not necessarily to make money, although our tinctures kind of carry the whole business. They pay for the soil, they pay for the seeds, they pay for all our work. But it's not, but we want people to be healthy.
Yeah.
It's not about money. You know what I mean? Although everybody needs it, that's not what we're about. We want to help people. And we get blessed. I mean, we see so many people that say it's miraculous. We had a lady that had a mouth full of blisters, like they were coming out. They were so, and she'd had them for 8 years, and she said the doctor said they just don't know. Can you help me? And I'm like, I'm not a doctor. And she was on other medication, so that's kind of, I don't like that. That's scary for me. I don't mess around with that kind of a thing. So I said the only thing I can think of to give you that I think is safe is lemon balm. And so I gave her lemon balm, and I thought, I hadn't seen her for about 3 weeks. I thought, well, maybe it didn't work. And then the 4th week, she came walking down the driveway, and she had a big smile on her face. And I thought, hey, that's what it's all about, That's what it's all about. Now, I don't know if it will cure her, It definitely has taken, she had them all down her throat, so it was even hard to swallow and eat, So, but, God provided all this stuff, It's not me. So it's just.
I would like for you to kind of give us an idea of what herbs we could have in our own garden. Just kind of the simple, 8 to 10 herbs that would be most beneficial. And like you mentioned, thyme can be medicinal, and oregano
culinary.
too, and culinary and stuff like
Oregano.
that.
I would say, especially since, we're not out of it yet, but there's all these nasty bugs going around. Everyone's struggling with the cough. Mullein. That's been one of probably our most asked for herb in the past few months. So mullein, let's see.
And easy
That's
to
an
get
easy-
herbs too.
Yeah.
They're weeds.
Right, I was about to say,
You can probably.
we have customers who they'll stop at the side of the road and they'll pick them when they see a bunch. Let's see, there's another one. That
Yeah,
can think of that's
mints.
common.
Your mints are really good when you're not well, when you're not feeling well. Mint is really good.
Yeah.
Although you have to keep it under control, so you have to grow it in a pot so it doesn't spread. And sometimes, you should come to the farm and just look at how some of these herbs grow. In fact, before you grow them, I would recommend that you come so you can see for yourself which ones are naughty and like to go outside the borders, and which ones are okay. And so then you learn how to, Chamomile is great because it's a calmer. It helps children. It's safe for children. But if you need to sleep, it helps sleep. Same with lavender. Very, very, very good.
Lemon balm?
Lemon
Lemon
balm.
balm.
I think lemon balm is, any kind of mouth sore, cold sores. We had a fella take it for shingles, and he said it didn't take them away, but it halted them. So, but I have given recommended other herbs for shingles that have actually flipped it. But
Which one?
it would be, and I gotta remember, and there were different herbs for different reasons. It was echinacea to fight infection. I think it was St. John's wort.
Mm-hmm.
Help me, I can't remember.
Hard to say. I don't know if I.
And I just thought there was I use a book.
She needs,
Um,
she needs some herbs for memory.
I do. I need more ginkgo. Yeah, it's, you know what though? There's so much to learn, and then you learn it, but then you learn something else,
Mhm.
and
Sure.
Yeah.
so that's why I don't base it on my own knowledge. I have books. I have
Yeah.
books from the experts, and I don't trust my own memory. If I have a question, I have no problem. Yarrow.
Mhm.
Yarrow's a good one.
Yeah.
Stop bleeding.
Yeah.
So you have a bleed, you grab some yarrow leaves, and everybody must have this. This grows all over the property.
Yeah.
But we did plant our own, but it does grow. You grab the leaves, you kind of chew it up a little bit, put it on a bleed, and it'll stop it. So
But it's the white, right?
it's the common one, yeah. But I think all of them, in a pinch, just like echinacea, you can do the black-eyed Susan. They're all from the same family. Some are just more potent than others, but in a pinch, if you're hiking and you get a snake bite, and they have black-eyed Susans, you can use that to stop infection.
Wow.
So,
Mhm.
or spider bites,
Right.
and things like that.
Yeah, the one we mentioned, motherwort, is another good one to have on hand. If not for women's health, then also for heart issues as well, or heart health, I should say. But that's another really big one. Let's see. Off the top of my head.
There's so many. How do you pick?
Yeah, another thing that you want to do is look on your property. If you have some property, look and see what you have. Like she said, yarrow grows. I have a lot in one place. Mullein. I have it coming up every little bit. Now, mullein is a 2-year plant. And so the first year it'll look kind of like the picture that they had, a rosette-like thing. And then the second year it will put up a spike with flowers on it.
Flowers.
And if you don't want it just going everywhere, cut that off. Otherwise,
After you harvest the
Right.
flowers.
yeah, after
Right.
you harvest the flowers,
Right.
But the thing is that, I have mullein all over my garden some places, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Unfortunately, we have a club here, the Back Pain Club. Do you have any herbs you'd recommend for people in the Back Pain Club?
Back pain?
Back pain.
Yeah.
We have several.
Yeah,
What
so
would
we
you recommend?
so we have both. I'm just going to use my sister as an example. Since she had back surgery, she was a flight attendant and lifting all those heavy luggage. So she uses white willow,
White willow.
and comfrey.
White willow and comfrey.
And we have a lot of people that have back surgery that use white willow.
Okay,
So yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
I was gonna say, I am an asthmatic. I have asthma real bad.
Mhm.
And do you have any stuff that you can use in a nebulizer?
Peppermint in
She's
colloidal
got
silver or
asthma, so
normal
she
saline.
has that.
Peppermint is a natural bronchodilator. And you can put it in normal saline, just 2 or 3 drops.
Oh, you can. Where would I get the normal saline at? Because they're refusing the stuff for the nebulizer. They're refusing
She
it.
had,
A lady in the back has your answer.
What?
she has a comment.
Oh,
Melody.
Have you just tried contact solution for saline?
huh?
You were asking about saline?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you want it sterile, don't you, for nebulizing?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you, that wasn't what I was gonna comment about, but I had a question. That type of lavender, I've been looking for that kind. What is that kind?
That's Munstead, and it grows very well in Michigan, and it's
Very good.
easy to start.
Cause I started one, I took something from a farm center, and it like, it had to be cut, and it got woody, and it got messy. That,
Well, this one, basically all lavender need to be trimmed. We don't trim it, but I mean, this one grows differently because it does have new stuff coming in from the woody stuff in the middle, so we haven't trimmed it.
It's
But
not-
you usually should trim your, if you want it to stay nice and tight, you know.
it's the one I find the prettiest one.
Yeah, we grow Munstead because it does well here, but also because it's good medicinally and for culinarily, you know, for extracts, lavender extract, or lavender lemonade, and things like that.
It's Munster.
Munstead?
Munster?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
About the same.
What else?
I'm trying to think.
Any other questions?
What's hawthorn good for?
Hawthorn is good for the heart, and hawthorn is it looks like a crab apple. The fruit looks like a crab apple, and the fruit, but with hawthorn, it's the leaves, the flowers, and the fruit.
So question about dosing. So suppose I have a condition like a heart condition or something. How often will I want to take my herb, and what dose would you recommend? Or is that just different for every single thing?
Yeah. So you know, when we first started, what we really wanted was we wanted people to do their own homework and then come and see if we have it.
Okay.
But people don't do that. So what I have done is I have gone to the experts and typed up what they say about it, typed what they say about the dosages and the contraindications. So, and we're trying to have that available, you know, for people. So you know, because a lot of times people will say the herb didn't work, you know. But usually what the problem is the dose is not right, and you didn't go long enough. You know, herbs are not like the drugs work instant, you know, 20 minutes later, although some people say comfrey has done that for them, but it would depend on what you're dealing with. Everybody's different, everybody's body is different. But I mean, I know for my husband, you know, I didn't give him enough, you know, and sometimes people just once a day is enough. Some people need it 3 times a day. It just depends on, you know. And so the information packet or pamphlets will tell you, you know.
So if I come to your place and I choose a herb for I have a problem, you'll recommend herbs A, B, and C, and then you'll give me a little sheet, data sheet with my purchase, so that I can dose myself properly.
We'll always recommend that you always go very light, sometimes just a few drops, to make sure you're not allergic to anything, especially if you don't know what you just start off with very tiny, see how you feel, kind of, you know, I mean, that's kind of, and then you go up to, and sometimes some people will be taking, you know, like even a cup of tea, the Love Your Heart tea, you drink the tea, and maybe I should do a cup in the morning and the cup at night, and you know, maybe the morning cup is not enough to do anything. Maybe adding another cup at night will, you know, usually can see, you know, a drop. But and we don't mix anything. Well, I take that back. I did a sore throat spray and I mixed sage and echinacea. But aside that, we don't usually mix herbs because we really, once again, we're herb growers and we don't want to be herbalist, although technically we are. But we want to encourage people to do their part, to kind of learn a little bit, you know. And then you can come if you want to mix. You want to make a concoction together. You want to do a glycerin. You can come. You can harvest, and you can learn how to make your own.
Great.
You know what I mean? So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're going to be having classes?
Yeah, we have our very first class on range of motion. It's about pain and how even sometimes the way you walk is causing you pain, how you get in and out of a vehicle.
Walking up the stairs.
Different things that you're doing causes your own pain. So, and then we're going to do a little talk on some of the pain remedies that we have.
Will you eventually do classes on how to put together
Yeah, whatever the customer wants, we'll do whatever people want. But you know, the whole premise is that people get comfortable with herbs and use them. I mean, use them as your first line of defense, you know. Sometimes they're not enough. Sometimes you must go to the doctor, you know, but try to do what you can do for yourself first, and then, you know, and then take the next step. But
Do you grow Coca-Cola?
I just purchased some because we can't get those things to grow in the basement. So yeah, we purchased some plants. Okay, and this is the first time we're doing it because after 3 years of trying to grow something.
What was the name of that herb?
Coca-Cola, a nervine.
Okay.
It's like a gochu cola. It's like
Gochu-cola, okay.
Well, I once again, customers ask for it. So I'm seeing it like a lettuce kind of that you can actually add to your food as well as not just making, you know, we're going to find out. I don't know enough about it, but I mean, I just thought, and yes, that's true. That's right. Yep, like a nervine kind of sedative kind of, yeah. And
any customer interest in saffron? Yeah.
we are actually growing saffron.
Whoa.
We are trying, we're trying to grow saffron.
Yep.
It's growing with our Edelweiss.
How successful have you been in Michigan with?
You know what? We were actually quite surprised. We went out the other day and we saw some new stuff coming up. And saffron, we have to pull it up, divide it, and spread it out. But we got a few. We were actually quite surprised. I think we actually took a picture of it. We were so excited.
Saffron is a perennial?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be good for brain health.
I did not know that. My daughter likes to cook with it. I did not know that.
No,
Yeah.
I think that Dr. Neil Nedley mentions that it's actually good for halting Alzheimer's. And so that, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so it was said by one of our attendees that saffron, Dr. Neil Nedley says that maybe it's good for Alzheimer's or something like that. It's a good memory product.
That's good to know. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Any other questions? We're going to, one more back there.
Do you have the ingredients to make AZT? I don't know if I'm saying that right.
I think we were just missing one ingredient last we looked. I can't remember what the herb was.
I don't know if I'm saying it right. Apple Valley sells it. Some lady up in Canada was curing people with cancer in the 60s or the 70s, and supposedly it does miraculous things.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, we just found out that we had sheep sorrel all over the property. All over the property. So I did my research on it, and boy, that's some kind of a herb. It's a cancer.
Sheep sorrel?
It's beautiful when, you know, when the hills are just covered with this spiky thing that has, and it's really short, it has red balls. That's the flower. Didn't know that. And so, and I think it's slippery elm, burdock.
Yep.
Is it echinacea and sheep sorrel?
I think red clover too, I'm not sure.
Yeah, which we have all. Now we do have all of those. Well, I shouldn't say that. The elm tree has to grow. So.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So thank you.
Very good. It was a great presentation. Thank you so much. And you're welcome to visit with Rebecca and Leslie. I just want to say that we can have another 45 minutes for people to visit and stuff. Then we have another program for the depression recovery that's almost done. So, you know, that's not an open program right now. But we have about 45 minutes before we have to get ready for that. So thank you so very much. What we're going to have, I've made some herbed crackers, 2 different kinds. Unfortunately, they're not gluten-free. None of them are. But I've also made some infused water, basically. It has hibiscus, which is good for blood pressure a lot of times, hibiscus flower. It has lemon balm, and it has a mint in it, so you'll want to try that. The other thing I want you to do, we have, Leslie and Rebecca have provided 2 door prizes. So I want you to fill out the post survey, put your name on it, and we'll be picking those up to do a drawing for the door prizes. And let's just have a word of prayer as we finish up here. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you so much for all the herbs and plants that you've provided for us, and all the things that they can do to help us be healthy. I just ask that as we learn more, that we will know how to use them, and we just thank you that you want us to be healthy. You've said that you want us to be in health and to be and for your honor and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.